Hello, I'm Peter Thompson, and you may know me as one of the authors of a book called Future Work, which I wrote a decade ago now. It was inspired, I suppose, by the time I was working at Henley Business School with the Future Work Forum and doing consultancy work with Wisework, finding out that organizations were taking time to adapt to a dramatic new world of work. And at that time, the book was a bit of a bestseller, but it still looked at things that were predictions which haven't really happened over the last 10 years. A lot of work has still stayed the same until, of course, what happened when in 2000 we got hit by COVID-19. And all of a sudden, it took a global pandemic to make us realize that actually work can be very different. And little did we know that coming out of the end of it, we would see a world where the work is going to be much more hybrid and very different from before. So it was during the second lockdown, I think, that Mark got in touch.
Yeah, I can't believe it was a decade ago that you launched Future Work, and I was delighted to be featured in that book, my digital marketing consultancy Word Association, which you saw as a bit of a pioneer with what used to be called teleworking back all those years ago. I suppose the whole journey around never going back started for the middle of last year when I turned 60, and I had all sorts of plans, all sorts of exciting plans for that big milestone in my life, all of which were thwarted by COVID-19. But I think, like many of us, it gave me an opportunity to really think about life and to reflect on work and indeed everything else that sort of makes life interesting and motivates us. And as part of that, I contacted you, Peter, and we started talking about different collaborative projects that we could work on. I think there was one or two that didn't really float our boat, but as part of the conversation, we started talking about what became never going back. And it was clear to both of us that something really profound was going on a personal level and in terms of society. And unlike pretty well all of the other COVID-19 narrative, this had the potential to be something good. And we talked some more, of course, via Zoom, via this medium, and we became inspired.
Yeah, I mean, what interested me was the whole story about how businesses were just managing to get through the crisis, but not just to somehow survive the whole enforced home working, but actually to thrive through it, to work out there were new ways of getting things done. People got very creative. And even though people were locked in their homes against their will, they still managed to be productive. And suddenly we realized there was a bit of a revolution going on. So in this book, I think we've covered some of this revolution about the workplace, but particularly my interest area is how leaders and managers were reacting and how managers couldn't manage people hands-on anymore. So they were having to step back, manage by results, act more as leaders, sharing their purpose and direction with their employees, and then letting them get on with managing themselves. And then the whole technology, thank goodness this happened at a time when the technology was available, so people could, with broadband at home, actually manage to work in different hybrid ways. So they could do some work they would have done in the office at home. Maybe some people still had to go into the office. And what's now going to happen, I'm sure, is that, and the surveys show it, a lot of people are never going to go back to 5 days a week commuting in to work in an office. They just don't want to do it anymore. They've realized that they can get things done. Managers have realized that employees can be trusted, have a choice over how they work. And so flexibility is here to stay. And then we've looked in the book at how this impacted work-life balance, people's health, both mental and physical. and just look at all the different places that people are choosing to work.
Yeah, and it's clear that these changes in the world of work, people simply choosing to work from home, and in doing so not travel to work, and the changes in approach to management, trusting workers, are having other impacts as well, profound impact on our cities, for example, which is what one of the chapters looks at. Cities can become places that are built for people rather than built for commuting or built for cars. There's the whole concept of the 15-minute city, where everything is available within a 15-minute journey by foot or by bike, which is interesting a lot of planners, particularly in different cities in Europe. And of course, we saw at the beginning of the first lockdown the impact that less commuting, less travel was having on our planet, and how pollution levels plummeted. And we got this glimpse of a greener world. And I think a lot of us want to make sure it's more than a glimpse, and it sustains into the future and helps to sustain our planet. So the book looks at all of this, and it also looks at the role of our politicians and what they can do and what they have done. And it's also bang up to date as well. Some of the latest thinking, some of the latest pronouncements from different companies, many of whom are featured as case studies, are part of this book. So we're very proud to tell people about this book that we've been working on for most of 2021, which will be launched in April. It's called Never Going Back, as you can see above us, and you can find out more about it on the website nevergoingbackbook.com. But before we finish, our big message, Peter, is we're
never
going back.